Hi, it's Ben from Sydney Speed Supplies. We're here again today. I'm going to show you a 383 stroker kit from Procom Motorsport. We're going to go through today a couple of the processes of actually putting them in the engine and some of the things that you need to check to make the stroker kit work in all the engines. Today we're using a 383 Chevy kit. It comes with the cast steel crank, the H-beam conrods and the pistons. We put the rings and bearings in already. Now we're going to go through today what I find to be the simplest way of setting up the Chevy kit in the block, making sure all our clearances and tolerances are correct, and then we're going to show you how it all goes in the block and looks after we finish. Alright, so I've done a couple of things already to save a bit of time. We've already checked our bearing clearances, we've already checked our end float on the crank. Now I've taken it all apart, checked the bearings, everything's nice and clean and washed, crank's ready to go. So now we'll start getting ready to put it in. We'll get some bearing lube, we'll lube up the bearings, and we'll get the crank now and we'll put him in the block. Nice. Alright, so we've got our crank in now. Turn. Now it's time for the bearing caps. Same thing applies. We're going to put a little bit of bearing lube in here. We've got our bolts. We're going to get some moly lube. We're going to put that on. Then we're going to put the bearing caps in and go from that. Front to the front. Number 2 cap. Straight in. Alright, so as I said, just a little bit of moly lube on the bolts. Straight in, ready to do up. Alright, we've put all our main caps in now. We've done all our bearing lube, we've done all our moly lube on all the bolts. The bolts have now been done up hand tight. What we're going to do is, we're going to take the tension wrench here and we're going to do the bolts up to manufacturer's specs, pull them all down in sequence and go from that. Alright, we've tensioned up all our main caps now. Now I'm going to take my crank socket, we're going to put the crank socket, which is available from Procom. We're going to stick that on the crank, give them a light turn, everything feels quite nice there. Now we're going to go to the next stage of putting the rods and pistons in the engine. So we're just flipping over, turning over on the stand here. Alright, it's time to put the piston in. Now we've oiled the bearing up, we've got our ring compressor on, it's time to slide him in. One point I just want to make is the chamfer on the crank, which is right here. We can see here clearly that I've already pre-chamfered the bearings to miss the radius on the crank, so we get plenty of clearance side to side with the rods. Alright, we'll get our cap, we'll make sure our chamfer's on the right side, put our cap on the conrod, get our bolts that have already been coated with some moly lube, put them in, get our socket, and we'll just do them up hand tight. Now we've just nipped them up, that still needs to be taut. We'll get our torque wrench, we'll do them up, 7/16 bolt, 65 foot-pound. We'll do them up, we'll continue the process, we'll put all the rest of the pistons in, and then we'll go to our next step. Alright, we've put all our pistons in, we've put our rods in, we've checked all our bearings clearances, and we've got side clearance on all of the individual rods. Now, the only other thing I'm going to mention is the clearancing on the side of the block. Now we already dummy assembled this engine, and we marked out where we had to grind away. Now we've ground that away for the extra throw of the crank for the conrod bolts to clear. So that's all been done. Our end float's good, our bearing clearances are good, side clearance good, block clearance good, everything's working. Now we're ready to put our cam, oil pump, sump, timing cover, put the rest of the engine together and go racing.